One of the key things filmmakers absolutely hate doing above almost anything else is having to recast an actor for a sequel. Even when the casting fundamentally works, audiences generally hate change and will endlessly compare the new actor to the prior portrayal. And while there are certainly many examples where recasting doesn't quite fit or is clearly inferior to what came before, there are also those rare winning cases where the recast ends up improving the new movie. So with that in mind then, I'm Ellie with What Culture, and here are 10 actor replacements that actually improved movies. Number 10. Maggie Gyllenhaal as Rachel Dawes in The Dark Knight. In Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, the role of Bruce Wayne's primary love interest, Rachel Dawes, was played by Katie Holmes. Holmes' totally fine performance nevertheless slides into the periphery while up against top-shelf work from the likes of Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, Liam Neeson, Cillian Murphy and Morgan Freeman. Holmes opted not to return for sequel The Dark Knight, however, preferring instead to shoot the crime comedy Mad Money with one of her idols, Diane Keaton, a film unfortunately which bombed both critically and commercially. Holmes was ultimately replaced with Maggie Gyllenhaal for The Dark Knight, and while Holmes is far from an incapable actress, Gyllenhaal was just a much better fit for this character in every fibre of her being. Holmes seemed a little too young and fresh-faced to fully convince as Gotham's assistant district attorney, while Gyllenhaal carried herself with an inherently more mature and sophisticated air. This is evident from the first time we see Gyllenhaal's new take on Rachel, and to boot, she also has far more persuasive chemistry with Christian Bale than Holmes ever did. This series would have been absolutely fine if Holmes stayed on board, but Gyllenhaal probably should have been cast in the part from the very beginning. Number 9. LIEV Schreiber as Sabretooth in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Iconic X-Men villain Sabretooth made his first cinematic appearance in 2000's X-Men, where he was played by professional wrestler-turned-actor Tyler Mane. There's no denying that Mane brings a heft and physicality to the part, though his Sabretooth isn't much more than a hulking brute, a blunt object who tussles with Wolverine and ultimately gets disposed of a little too easily. In 2009's prequel film, X-Men Origins Wolverine, a younger Sabretooth is portrayed by the great LIEV Schreiber, who, while lacking Mane's massive stature, is nevertheless a lithe force of nature in his own right, and one who matches it with his sheer charisma. Schreiber gets far more of an opportunity to crack wise and show off his easy chemistry with Jackman's Logan. Mane did the best with what he had, but Schreiber took the character to another, more entertaining and nuanced direction that Mane, hardly an actor of Schreiber's caliber, would have struggled to. Number 8. Don Cheadle as James Rhodes in Iron Man 2. In the original 2008 Iron Man, the role of Tony Stark's good pal James "Rhodey" Rhodes was played by Terrence Howard. Howard, a recent Oscar nominee at the time, commanded the highest salary on the entire set, far more than even Robert Downey Jr., but was reportedly offered less money to return for Iron Man 2, prompting him to balk and be replaced by Don Cheadle. Terrence Howard's acting skills certainly isn't in doubt here, and he did a solid job as Rhodey in the first Iron Man, but Don Cheadle's more affable and gently sarcastic demeanour instantly made him much easier for the audience to warm to. Cheadle really helped take the Rhodey-Tony dynamic to the next level, and it's difficult to picture Howard bringing quite the same to a deceptively tricky role, a part that requires the actor to be both stern and likeable. As with the Katie Holmes Batman situation, there's no way Howard would have sunk Iron Man 2, but one suspects Rhodey wouldn't be nearly as well regarded by fans had Cheadle not taken over. Number 7. Moira Kelly as Donna Hayward in Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me. Donna Hayward was a significant character in David Lynch's series Twin Peaks, though also one of its more divisive major players, in part because Lara Flynn Boyle's performance as Laura Palmer's troubled best friend split audiences right down the middle. When Boyle couldn't return for the 1992 prequel film Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me due to scheduling conflicts, she was replaced with Moira Kelly, who many fans maintain gave a far more vibrant and persuasive performance in a single film than Boyle did across 30 episodes of the show. Granted, the two actresses are in many respects playing two starkly different versions of the same person on separate sides of a traumatic, life-changing event, but even so, Kelly's portrayal feels more well thought out, while Boyle's is more skittish and ultimately irritating. Kelly had the advantage of only performing the part for a comparatively short time, while most fans agree that Donna's characterization veers off a cliff in the show's second season and Boyle's performance with it. Number 6. Antonio Banderas as El Mariachi in Desperado. The Curious Case of El Mariachi might well be the biggest no-brainer on this list. In Robert Rodriguez's 1992 feature debut El Mariachi, the part of the title character was portrayed by Rodriguez's friend and co-producer Carlos Gallardo, who had scarcely little acting experience prior to taking the role, and likely played it himself in order to keep the budget down. After the film became an indie hit, Rodriguez was approached to make a sequel, and soon enough came up with Desperado. However, now armed with a larger budget and having to answer to major Hollywood studios, Rodriguez had Gallardo replaced in the lead role by a more recognizable actor, Antonio Banderas, while Gallardo remained on board as a co-producer. It was certainly the right call. 99.8% of the people alive today couldn't compete with Banderas' rugged handsomeness and infectious charisma, so it's difficult to argue with the replacement of Gallardo, who, all things considered, did a totally respectable job in El Mariachi. But when you're presented with a studio budget and all the resources to make a bigger, more successful movie, you'd be silly not to play ball. Rodriguez did, and Desperado was a massive commercial success, enough that Rodriguez, Banderas and Gallardo all returned for the again successful 2003 sequel Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Number 5. Carol Kane as Grandmama Addams in Addams Family Values. This is a piece of recasting subtle enough that more casual fans of the Addams Family movies might not even notice. In Barry Sonnenfeld's original 1991 film, Grandmama Addams was played by the late Judith Malina in a relatively small supporting role. For 1993's sequel, Addams Family Values, however, Sonnenfeld replaced Malina with Oscar nominee Carol Kane. Beyond the fact that Kane was given far more memorable dialogue to work with, Kane's more expressive, over-the-top rendition of Grandmama simply left Malina's more subdued version in the dust. Sonnenfeld had never stated publicly why he decided to recast the part, though given that Kane is a whole 26 years younger than Malina, it's entirely possible he wanted an actor who could more easily bring a lively physicality and vibrancy to the part. Number 4. Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th Part 7 The New Blood. Friday the 13th's iconic serial killer Jason Voorhees has been played by 10 different actors over the years, though there's undeniably one who is far and away the most closely associated with the role, and also the best. Friday the 13th Part 3 is where the classic hockey mask-wearing Jason we all know and love came into being, as played by Richard Brooker, before the part was taken over by Ted White, Tom Morga and CJ Graham in each of the next 3 films. For Friday the 13th Part 7 The New Blood, however, Kane Hodder took the role of Jason and categorically made it his own through his intensely intimidating, wordless performance. Hodder brought a subtle physicality to Jason which implied a lot without actually saying anything, enough that Hodder became a distinct fan favourite and returned to play Jason in the series' 8th, 9th and 10th entries, more than any other actor. While each Jason performer has in some fashion put their own sly stamp on the character, Hodder quickly established himself as the definitive portrayal of Jason. Number 3. Patton Oswalt as Max in The Secret Life of Pets 2. Illumination's 2016 smash hit animated comedy The Secret Life of Pets starred Louis C.K. as Max, our Jack Russell Terrier protagonist. C.K. was widely expected to return in the role for the sequel, but was dropped after being accused of sexual misconduct by multiple women in late 2017, ultimately being replaced with Patton Oswalt. Beyond the fact that Universal effectively had to recast the role in order to avoid a massive PR headache, they actually settled on a much better suited actor for the part anyway. CK's deadpan, even hangdog, pardon the pun, vocal delivery really doesn't measure up to Oswalt's more expressive, jovial voice when it comes to casting the protagonist of an animated movie who needs to appeal to kids. Even though Max is supposed to have a bit of an edge to him as a character, CK always felt a bit miscast in the role, even if it clearly didn't hurt the box office bottom line. The original made $875.5 million worldwide. And though the sequel didn't crack even half that number, Oswalt makes Max a far more endearing character kids and adults alike will actually want to spend 90 minutes with. Number 2. Mads Mikkelsen as GELLERT Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. The world was left with their jaws on the floor when Johnny Depp made a surprise cameo appearance at the end of the first Fantastic Beasts film, revealing himself to be the true visage of the evil dark wizard GELLERT Grindelwald. Though many lamented that Colin Farrell, who played Grindelwald disguised as Percival Graves, didn't simply play Grindelwald also, some fans nevertheless warmed to Depp's full-on portrayal in the otherwise highly divisive sequel The Crimes of Grindelwald. But the franchise was thrown into a tailspin when, mere days into shooting his role in threequel The Secrets of Dumbledore, Depp was asked to resign after losing a libel case against a newspaper that characterised him as a wife-beater. Mads Mikkelsen was swiftly subbed in to take over the part. While The Secrets of Dumbledore was ultimately a mixed bag of a movie, critics were near unanimous in agreement that Mikkelsen's more mannered, menacing and less campy performance in the role was considerably more effective. Number 1. Phylicia Rashad as Marianne Creed in Creed. Throughout the Rocky franchise, Apollo Creed's wife Mary Ann has appeared 5 times. First in the original Rocky as played by Lavelle Roby, and then by the late Sylvia Means in Rocky 2 and 4. Though Roby and Mills did fine enough work with what they had, neither of their Mary Anns had much dimension at all as characters, and so there was only so much they could do with the part. But Mary Ann was given significantly greater bite when she reappeared in both Creed movies, and also its upcoming sequel, as now played by Tony Award winner Phylicia Rashad. Rashad brings soul and dignity to the fore as the adoptive mother of Apollo's son, Donnie, serving as an indispensable well of wisdom even when Donnie doesn't heed her advice. Instantly sympathetic as a concerned parent and further elevated by Rashad's authoritative, compassionate performance, this is a textbook example of a brilliant recast that worked in perfect tandem with superior writing. And that concludes our list. If you can think of any other examples, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also, head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.